So today we have to talk about curriculum planning. Clear? In my previous class, I just talked about language planning and lesson planning. Okay. This is again a very related part to the earlier class. What is the difference between curriculum and syllabus? You must be using these two words for a very long time. But you should also know the difference of curriculum and syllabus. In curriculum, we put those things which are very important. What knowledge products will be assigned for teaching for the students. That is curriculum planning. Clear? And you know that for knowledge and education, curriculum planning is most important thing. Because if we do not know what things will be taught to our students in a particular society or in a particular course, we cannot move forward. Clear? So whatever objectives we have, they are reflected in our curriculum planning. Clear? So when we talk about curriculum planning, we are actually talking about those objectives which we have for a particular kind of course or program. Clear? So why this curriculum planning is important? It is important because it is foundational to educational reforms. Clear? Before designing any syllabus or curriculum, we have to think about number of things. Clear? All educational reforms are based on curriculum planning. Clear? And you know that what is the objective of education and knowledge? By imparting knowledge and education, we have very larger interests. Clear? What are those interests? First thing is that by spreading a particular kind of knowledge and education, we try to reduce the poverty of the people. Clear? Another is we need sustainable development. Clear? Without education or knowledge, we cannot achieve the targets of sustainable development. Third thing is that is economic growth. Clear? Knowledge creation or education, both of them aim at economic growth. Because if we are achieving any kind of knowledge or any kind of education, if it is not leading to the reduction of poverty or to the sustainable development or to economic growth, it means there is something wrong with our curriculum planning. So is it clear to you that curriculum planning is very important? Clear? What is the aim of it? To ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote learning opportunities for all. Clear? So many characteristics of curriculum planning are hidden in this definition. You will see that what is the purpose? To ensure inclusive and equitable quality education. whenever we are thinking of planning a particular kind of curriculum, what is the first quality? It should be inclusive. What does it mean? It means that it must include all important aspects of knowledge and education. Clear? Whenever we are going to make any curriculum or design any curriculum, we have to be very much alert that it should be inclusive. It has to include so many things. All the important aspects of life should be included in it. This is the first quality. Second is an equitable quality education. We should design it in such a way that it should reach to all the sections of the society. Clear? Education and knowledge should not be meant for a particular class or a particular section of the society. It must have, curriculum must take care of including or taking into interests of all the sections of the society. It should be a equitable quality education. Clear? All should be benefited by it, and everything should be included into it. This is the meaning of inclusiveness and being equitable. The third thing is, which is very important, it should promote learning opportunities for all. Means through this curriculum planning, what should happen? All people should get learning opportunities. It must promote learning opportunities for all. So these are the three basic things which are the fundamentals of any curriculum planning. First, it should be inclusive. Second, it should be equitable. And third, it should provide learning opportunities for all. Clear? This is the purpose of our education or knowledge also. Clear? It is not selective. And what is the ultimate objective? The ultimate objective of any kind of knowledge creation or education is holistic development. What is this holistic development? Whole, you know, which is not incomplete, which is all inclusive. Clear? So, any kind of curriculum planning should lead to holistic development of the people. It comprises not only physical, intellectual, but also cultural, moral, clear? And all kinds, all aspects of, all those aspects which help in the growing of a personality, which help in the growing of an overall personality. So, any kind of curriculum planning must lead to holistic development. This is a term which you must remember very well. Now, I'm making you aware with some general principles of quality curriculum. You know that UNESCO, there is International Bureau of Education, which is known as in short IBE. In 2016, they laid down certain principles for all the countries which were the members of UNESCO. And what they said, they laid down certain principles which should be followed by all the countries, by all the educationists of the world when they are going to prepare any curriculum. They let down those yardsticks or principles on which a quality curriculum can be prepared, a quality curriculum can be made. What is the first point? Holistic child development and learning. What is it? Holistic child development and learning. Means any kind of curriculum, if you want to make it a quality curriculum, what it should aim at? It should aim at holistic child development and learning. We have to prepare it in such a way that it should promote a holistic development and learning of children. So any kind of curriculum which is being made in any part of the world, it must have this foremost point. Second point is reading and writing to develop essential competencies. Clear? Reading and writing to develop essential competencies. You know that if you want to be a knowledgeable person or an educated person, you must need some essential competencies. What are those essential competencies? They are the essential competencies of reading and writing. Clear? If you say that you are educated or you are literate, and if you do not know how to read and how to write, it means you have not received education or knowledge. This is second thing. Third thing is, they say that it should promote youth culture. What is that youth culture? It covers formal, non-formal, and informal education. Clear? They believe that any quality curriculum should promote formal, non-formal, and informal education. Only then we can have good young people. Clear? If any kind of curriculum is not promoting youth culture, if it is not promoting good young people physically, mentally, intellectually, clear? This can be done. Whatever kind of education it be, it should create a youth culture. Clear? Because that curriculum which is not creating good youth means physically or mentally or intellectually strong young people, it means it is getting defeated in its purpose. Next point was ICT curricula and inclusive pedagogy for effective learning outcomes. They say that ICT curricula should be introduced. ICT, what is it? Internet related communication technologies. Clear? You can use them. So they say that it should also be the part of a quality curricula. Clear? A quality curriculum. Clear? And it should include those pedagogies. Pedagogies are methods of teaching. Clear? It should include those methods of teaching for effective learning outcomes. If we want that learners should learn anything effectively, what we should do? We should also use ICT techniques and include pedagogy for effective learning outcomes. Different types of teaching methods should be applied. Next point is, for sustainable development, science, technology, engineering, and maths, 4 disciplines which are very important. They say that in a quality curricula, they should be added. Some part of them should be added. It is known as STEM. S stands for science, T stands for technology, E stands for engineering, and M stands for maths. Clear? In order to foster sustainable development, there should be some knowledge of science, technology, engineering, and maths. Clear? Next point is curriculum for global citizenship. Clear? They say that in the quality curriculum, there should be some portion which should promote a learner to become a global citizen. Clear? That learner should be taught about peace, human rights, sustainable development, values, ethics, multimedia, etc. All these things should be taught to the students so that they can become not only a citizen of their own country, but they should also have some fellow feelings for the entire world. They should become a global citizen. Clear? This is also very important. Clear? Next point is that assessment to enhance and support learning opportunities. There should be some part for assessment so that all learners may enhance and their learning opportunities may be supported. For that, some assessment should be done in the curriculum itself. Clear? Whether a particular kind of curriculum is supporting learning opportunities or not, whether it is enhancing it or not, this is very important. Next point is inclusive education as an overguiding principle of education systems. Means whatever kind of education is being imparted, it should be inclusive. What makes it inclusive? There are 3 things: knowledge plus skills plus values. It is that kind of education which includes everything. Clear? Now, I am coming to next step. What knowledge products can be used? So there are different things. There is a wide array of knowledge products which can be used in curriculum. Clear? What are they? First is discussion papers. Clear? First is discussion papers. What are those things? They are those notes. Actually, they are assignment sheets. Clear? Where we can ask students to talk about them or solve them. Then there are policy briefs. There are different kinds of policies which are made. We can give summaries of those policies we can prescribe them in the curriculum. Then there are frameworks of different studies which can be given there. Some guidelines can be given there. Some models can be given there, prototypes. Some resource packs can be given there, which the learners can study. Clear? Then learning tools, they are very good knowledge products by which learners can learn. And then there are multimedia resources. So they are all knowledge products which can be used when we are making a quality curriculum. What are they? I'm just repeating. Discussion papers, policy briefs, frameworks, guidelines, models, resource packs, learning tools, multimedia resources. So all these things can be put up in the curriculum. Clear? The next point is any kind of curriculum has its priorities, and these priorities are not fixed. They change place to place, country to country, or community to community. Clear? There are no universal guidelines for, there cannot be priorities of curriculum cannot be universally decided. Clear? First is nature of the audience. Clear? If you do not frame your curriculum according to the need and nature of the audience, this curriculum, that curriculum will not be a successful curriculum. Clear? For example, if we are making a curriculum for tribals, we have to think, and according to the need and nature of the audience, we will have to modulate our curriculum. Second point is, we have to see the education system of a country. Okay? For example, you are asked to make a curriculum for class 10th students of Africa. You must know what are their education policies, what is the education system of that country. Clear? So without knowing educational system of a particular country, or without knowing the educational policies of a particular state or nation, you cannot make a curriculum for that country or for that community. Clear? Because different states in the world or different countries or nations in the world have different educational systems and different educational policies. We will have to change our priorities according to them. Third thing is skills and qualifications of teachers. Any kind of curriculum must take care who will implement that curriculum. What are the skills and qualifications of those teachers which are going to implement that curriculum? Clear? For example, if we introduce ICT in a curriculum, that curriculum is for remote villages or for tribal area where we have no teachers who are skilled and have qualifications in handling ICT techniques. What will happen? That curriculum will not yield desirous results. It will prove to be a failure. So when we are planning for a curriculum, we have to see what kind of teachers. We will have to see whether teachers are skilled or qualified to implement that curriculum or not. This is a very important point. Next point is quality of infrastructure. Clear? Suppose if we make a curriculum which can be implemented only in a smart room, and if the college or the university doesn't have those facilities, if there is no sufficient infrastructure there, if there are no smart rooms there, how can a teacher can use a computer or ICT techniques? So quality of infrastructure has to be kept in the mind when we are setting our priorities in the curriculum. Clear? Next thing is, there is challenges of the environment. For example, if you are making a curriculum in which you decide that every day there will be 5 classes or 10 classes, if you enforce this curriculum for that place where we have very unfavorable climatic conditions, it may not be proper for the learners or for the students to work in that environment, in that climate. So environment, somewhere it is very cold, somewhere it is very hot. Yeah? So this point is also to be noted when a curriculum is being planned. So these are some points: nature of the audience, educational system of a country, skills and qualification of teachers, quality of infrastructure, and challenges of the environment. All have to be taken into account when we are setting our priorities in curriculum. A quality curriculum must take care of, must set its priorities according to these things. Clear? Then we come to development of curriculum. What are the salient features of the development of a curriculum? First thing is, it should be planned and systematic. Clear? If it is not planned, if it is not systematic, that curriculum will not function well. It will not yield its objectives. Second thing is that it should be inclusive and consultative. Clear? Inclusive and consultative. Inclusive, you know. Clear? It should cover up different areas of knowledge. And second thing, it should be consultative. What does it mean? It means that it should not be close-ended. It should not be enforced. It must have some space for suggestions or for advice or for ramifications or for some modifications. Otherwise, what will happen? You develop a curriculum and you enforce it on others. If it has no space for corrections, for modifications, for the advice of others, it will not yield desirous results. Third thing is, it should led by curriculum professionals. Clear? Curriculum planning cannot be done by novice. Clear? By those people who are just inexperienced, who themselves do not have knowledge of different policies of education or different kinds of knowledge. They should be experts in their fields. They should be professionals. Only then they can make a very good curriculum. Clear? Inexperienced people or those people who do not have knowledge of those fields which they are introducing in the curriculum. Otherwise, what will happen? That curriculum will be impracticable because some impractical things will be there and they would neither be executed by the teachers nor will they be of any use for the learners or the students. So it is very necessary in the development of the curriculum that it should be planned and systematic, it should be inclusive and consultative, and it should be designed by professionals. Next point is that it should be sustainable. What does it mean, sustainable? It means that it should be practicable. Clear? It should be easy to be practiced, and whatever is designed, whatever is planned, it can be executed by the teachers and it can be grasped by the learners. If learners do not have a sustainable growth, if they are not enhancing their knowledge, or if their education is partial, or if they lag behind in physical or any kind of uh, education, it means it is not sustainable. Only that curriculum can be called sustainable, which gives knowledge plus skills plus values. Clear? With most of the curriculum, what is the problem? They may provide, impart very good knowledge, but they have no inclusion of skills. And sometimes they may have knowledge and skills also, but they have no values. Clear? So, what is important for a sustainable curriculum? Knowledge should be supplemented with skills, and both of them should be supplemented with values. Without values, knowledge will not make a learner an educated person in the real sense. There will be people having degrees or diplomas, clear, but they will not be a good citizen. They will be without values. They will have no civic sense. They will not become global citizen. So this is very important. Now when we come to curriculum, which is the second part of curriculum planning. First of all, we develop planning. We develop a curriculum. What are those things? I have already mentioned. Then we come to the curriculum. When we are making a curriculum, there are certain features, salient features of curriculum. First point is, for curriculum, it should value each child and hold that every child matters equally. This is the most important thing. Clear? All children, each and every children is important. And this curriculum should be designed in such a way that it should be of some benefit for every child, for each child, and hold that every child matters equally. Clear? So, no curriculum can be called quality curriculum if it is making distinctions between one child and the other. So, whatever curriculum we are framing or making or preparing, it must value each child. Clear? There should be no distinctions of caste, religion, age, color, any kind of discrimination. Every child has the potential, and curriculum should address each and every child and should treat each and every child, all children equally. Second thing is that it must comprise high quality content. Whatever things you are putting in the curriculum, clear? Because different kinds of knowledge are put in the curriculum. That curriculum must have high quality content. Clear? The subject matter of curriculum should be of high quality and contribute to the development of competence. Because if there is no high quality content, it will produce substandard, it will impart substandard education. And what will happen? Learners' knowledge will also be substandard. Clear? So, content must be of high quality. Clear? High, it does not mean only with reference to quantity, but also to quality. Clear? Third thing is that it should be well organized and structured. Clear? Whatever curriculum we are planning, it should be divided in different parts, and every part must have some subparts or sections. Clear? It should not be disordered or chaotic. It should be well organized and structured. And next point is that it should be based on a set of principles about how children learn things. There are a number of theories which talk about how children should be taught. Clear? They are theories of learning. They are theories of learning for children. All these theories should be applied in this material, in this matter of curriculum. Now, I am coming to the third part, which is the implementation of the curriculum, which is very important, again, very important part. First part was development of the curriculum. Second part was the curriculum itself. And third part is the implementation of the curriculum. Clear? Now, what are the four pillars of this implementation of the curriculum? Clear? We have made a curriculum. Clear? But how it will be implemented? This is the practical part. Clear? How it will be executed. So, what are those four pillars of curriculum? First is students. Clear? You know, because any kind of syllabus or curriculum is made for students. No curriculum can be implemented without students, because if there are no students, for whom, to whom that experiment will be made? There should be students who want to learn something. Clear? Second thing is there should be teachers who want to impart, who are open to any kind of innovation. Clear? Who are ready to teach whatever according to the objectives of the curriculum. Clear? In the curriculum, we have very high objectives, and those high objectives cannot be achieved if teachers do not take them to their heart. Clear? If they do not follow those objectives with their own will, There can be no forced teaching. Teachers have to be very committed. Only then they can implement the curriculum in spirit. Third thing is schools or colleges or universities. They are all academic institutions which are the medium. Clear? Students and teachers meet there. Clear? And they have to provide all facilities. If there is no structure, if there is no infrastructure, teachers would be handicapped. They would not be able to execute that curriculum for the students. For example, suppose there is some ICT material in the curriculum, and if the college or the university is not providing smart rooms, or if they have no electricity, if they do not provide ICT techniques or facilities, a teacher, clear, it will be a failure of infrastructure. So infrastructure is very important. And last point is, which is authorities. This is the fourth factor, fourth pillar of the implementation of curriculum. It is the coordination of all these four pillars. What are those four pillars? Students, teachers, academic institutions, and authorities. Who are these authorities? These authorities are, this is the government, because government open up the schools, colleges, and universities. They have certain plannings, they have certain policies, and whatever curriculums are made, they are made according to the particular education policy of a particular state or a particular nation. So if a nation or a country or a state is not taking care of the fundamentals of knowledge and education, if they are at fault, this fault cannot be corrected by academic institutions or by teachers or by students. All will suffer if there are flaws in the education policies of a state. So what implementation of the curriculum depends on the coordination of all these four pillars. Clear? The students have to receive, they must be ready for receiving. If teachers do not teach, follow the objectives of curriculum, students will be deprived of learning. And if academic institutions do not provide facilities, again, education and knowledge will not, it will be very difficult to impart knowledge and education. And authorities who are at the uppermost position, they are the governing bodies. They can govern not only academic institutions, they can also govern teachers, and they can also govern students. So implementation of the curriculum depends on a very good coordination of students, teachers, academic institutions, and higher authorities. Next point is, which is very important component of curriculum planning, that is evaluation of the curriculum. Clear? Suppose we have developed a curriculum, we know we have made a very quality curriculum, and even then we put it to implementation, and all these four pillars of curriculum, students, teachers, academic institutions, government authorities, all engage in it. But if there is no evaluation of curriculum, it is made and left to remain in the public domain for unlimited time. What will happen? it will have no use. So there are some important points for the evaluation of curriculum also. First point is that it should be clearly defined purpose and scope. Okay? For any evaluation of the curriculum, the purpose and scope of that curriculum should be clearly defined. If we are making this particular kind of curriculum with this purpose and this is the scope and this will remain valid for so many years. Yeah? There should be a time period, and after that time period that curriculum must be revised. It should be scrutinized by experts. Second thing is that it should be based on valid data and criteria. Clear? Some data must be created before making when a curriculum is in practice, when it is being evaluated. This evaluation should be based on valid data and criteria. Clear? Suppose in UP, some curriculum has been made for primary education. Clear? And it was made 30 years ago. And there is no evaluation of it. Clear? No data is being collected how that curriculum is being implemented. Clear? So authorities have to see, they have to collect valid data, and they must have some criteria for evaluating the curriculum. Third thing is that there should be regular scrutiny. Clear? We cannot make a particular curriculum and then sleep for years. Clear? Generally it happens that sometime a curriculum is made and then the authorities take it for granted that it is being taught well and students and teachers all are satisfied. It should be regularly scrutinized. Clear? After every session or after 1 or 2 years, there should be some scrutiny of the curriculum. Clear? Only that we can evaluate curriculum. And last point is that this evaluation cannot be done by inexperienced people. Clear? Just as curriculum is made by very experienced people, by experts. In the same way, very qualified and experienced people should conduct this evaluation. Evaluation of curriculum cannot be done by ordinary teachers or by inexperienced people or by politicians. Clear? Politicians are not the experts. Clear? So what should be done? It should be done by a body of some educationists who have a wide experience and very good qualification. So these are some very important points of curriculum planning. I have talked about them. In your mind, you must be thinking, what is the difference of curriculum planning and syllabus design? Clear? What is the difference of curriculum and syllabus? For example, you are an educationist, clear? And you have to make a curriculum. Curriculum for BA program in Uttar Pradesh. Clear? Now, what you will say? You will think that in VA, whatever may be the subject, these things have to be put in different category so that we can achieve our objectives. You know what are the objectives? I have already talked about these objectives. What are the general principles of curriculum planning or quality curriculum? Clear? So keeping those principles of quality curriculum a curriculum is designed. Clear? It is designed by experts. They design it in such a way that some components of knowledge, some components of skills, and some components for values are also incorporated in it. That is curriculum planning. Clear? Curriculum planning is not about a particular subject. Clear? When we come to a particular subject, suppose you are making a syllabus, designing a syllabus for MA semester 1 English. Clear? Now you will have to think how you will have to arrange history of English literature from semester 1 to semester 4. Clear? This is called syllabus design. Clear? So I think that you can understand what is the difference between syllabus design and curriculum design. The difference is in curriculum, we have larger interests. Clear? But when we talk about syllabus design, we are concerned about a particular subject and its different components. If I am designing a syllabus for MA English, I will think that different areas of English literature should be put in different papers, or one paper should have these units. Clear? So in first syllabus, in first unit, we can have prose. In second unit, we can have some poetry, or in the third unit, we can have some drama. In the fourth unit, we can have some fiction. In the fifth unit, we can have some criticism of a particular century. Clear? So in this way, syllabus is designed. So what are the objectives of the general objectives of curriculum are also applicable to syllabus design? Because whether we are designing a curriculum or we are designing a syllabus, our ultimate objective is that the learners should have not only knowledge of that particular field, but they should have certain skills also, certain value education also. Thank you all of you for joining me.